So it's the middle of the night, and I just finished watching Severance Season 2, and I just wanted to do a little review of it, and the fact that you're hearing it means I guess that I went ahead and uploaded it. I may or may not at time of recording. I don't know. I'm going to do a review of Severance Season 1 and Season 2. I have some notes here, and I'm going to have a very brief non-spoiler section at the beginning here. First of all, generally, I have a rule of thumb that I don't watch serial TV shows. And what I mean by a serial TV show is something that you can't watch out of order, you know? So things that are syndication friendly, like Star Trek or Seinfeld, those are fine. I love stuff like that. I love Columbo, Dragnet, no problem. Law and Order. But anything that's serialized, generally speaking, with very few exceptions, they don't justify their existence as shows. They wouldn't have been, they would have been better as movies in almost every instance. I've racked my brain about this, and the only thing that I can think of that would not have been better as a movie was the first season of Fargo, which they knew they had 10 episodes going in, and in case you don't know, Fargo is a new story every season. All the characters and all the plot gets resolved and go away. So Fargo, they basically set out to make a 10-hour movie. And Fargo was alright. But I can't think of one other one. There are a few others that are kind of like that. Shows where it's like a TV show and it's a whole new story every season. And they're supposed to be unrelated. They can't resist the temptation for drawing those lines because simpletons really latch on to those tenuous connections between seasons. Like I think in like Fargo's season 3, like some kid is revealed to have been like an old man in a former season or some stupid. It really doesn't matter at all. It's just some stupid crap so that simple people will think it means something or think just not even think it means anything specifically. Just it creates this like this feeling of relevance where there is none. Even Breaking Bad was not better for having been a series. Like, I can't even imagine how many episodes are there of Breaking Bad? It's like 5 seasons, right? I can't even fathom sitting through all that crap again. I mean, like, I'm glad that I watched it, but it would have been better as 3-hour movies. You know, I'm just so tired of all the soap opera filler in these shows. And especially the ones that don't know how long they're going to be going in. Like, I don't know if Breaking Bad knew how long it was going to be when it started. It definitely was padded. So I don't know if that padding was caused by uncertainty or just deliberately making it longer than it needed to be from the beginning. I'm not sure. But it definitely was like not as bad an offender. I like Breaking Bad. I just would have liked it better as a trilogy of long films. So Severance. I made an exception for it because I kept hearing good things about it. Some people that I follow are talking about it. I know Jonathan Blow was tweeting about it a few months ago, and I know I've heard about it at least a couple more times. Oh, I actually saw a GIF circulating online where they had used AI to, in the opening sequence of season 2, which I will not provide any spoilers no spoilers at all. But it's a sequence where Mark is running. And I saw an AI demonstration where somebody had used AI to replace Mark's face with Keanu Reeves. And that was kind of just my reminder, like, oh yeah, Severance exists, and I keep hearing about it, and I haven't seen it. So that kind of is one of the things that spurred me into finally giving the show a try. I really went to... I feel like this is going to be my standard policy for these shows. Anything that can convince me to actually watch it that isn't fully concluded, I basically just have to go in hoping season 1 will be good and assuming season 2 will be bad. And that ended up being a perfect prediction here. I liked season 1 very much, and I disliked season 2 very much. And honestly, watching season 1 only made me more assured that I would not like season 2, and I was very correct, which I'm sure was partially lucky. Is that everything? I would say that it's season 1 especially. Again, I did like it. I do recommend it if you can take the good with the bad. If you can go into season 1 prepared for season 2 to be bad, I recommend it. And you might even like season 2, which would just be a bonus, right? But I did not. One thing that got under my skin that is not a spoiler because it is a meta thing that is not related to the plot is at the very beginning of the show, it shows Mark coming into work and he takes off his Vostok Komandersky mechanical watch and he swaps it out for a Bijou 1 Chinese quartz watch, the minimalist watch that he wears as an innie, to use the terms vernacular. And then there's a point, I think it's halfway through season 1, where they show him swapping out his ID badge, but they don't show the watch being swapped. Which should have been a significant plot point, but it wasn't. It was just an editing or a coverage error. And that really annoyed me. You should have, if you didn't have the coverage, you should have shown the security guard and played Foley of the watch being swapped, because that was very distracting and very annoying. Which I will get into more details about why that matters so much as soon as I get into the spoilers section. I think that's about it, though. I think that's that concludes the non-spoiler portion of the review. So I'm gonna get into spoilers now. Again, I do recommend season 1. So if you can handle season 2 being bad, because I do think it's bad. So yeah, spoilers begin in 3, 2, 1, as YMS might say. Yeah, the watch. Okay. This happens right in that time where we're not exactly 100% sure if the code detectors are a thing, right? And so when it doesn't show him swap the watch, it deceives me into thinking that that's the show telling me that he forgot he wore the Vostok watch down onto the Severance floor, and the Arabic indices and scripts on the Vostok watch did not set off the code detectors. So the code detectors are bullshit. But they aren't. They're real. It's just, it is an insane error. I can't believe that was left in the show. That's probably the worst part of season 1, I think. Well, season 1 has a few bad parts, and they compete with that a little bit, I think. And on that note, I have some notes here that are very roughly kind of chronological to the show. I'm going to be spoiling season 1 and season 2 side by side. I really don't feel like organizing my thoughts. If you have, again, we already are past the spoiler warning, but I'll restate. If you haven't watched season 1, I do recommend pausing now and going to watch season 1. And then you can watch season 2 or not, and I don't really care, personally. If you don't watch season 2 and let me spoil it, that's fine as far as I'm concerned. But again, that's your call. Yeah, the watch thing was a problem. The code breaker thing, it really got on my nerves, especially after there may have been something in the show. I feel like the show wanted me to believe in the code detectors before they were explicitly confirmed by the planted post-it note in the first episode of season 2. But I wasn't convinced at that point, until that point. That was like my, okay, yeah, so if that post-it got caught, then the code detectors are probably real, almost certainly. That it felt like a strong indication to me. So yeah, a little bit of trouble in like the conveyance of like that information. I don't even know if they had made their mind up in season 1. I'm not sure. The thing with the black goo really irritated me. I really did not like Irving always seeing the black goo and it being used in the opening of the show, and it kind of being sort of like a connection between that and the paint that he used to paint the black hallway prophetically. Definitely there's been no explanation for any of that about how he knows about the black hallway. I assume that I don't know. And actually, we'll get back to him because I have some gripes about the perspective of this show. But one thing that bothers me is that, like many shows, because they want to keep audiences hooked for a long time, they have to make the story bigger than it needs to be. I wanted this to be a psychological exploration. I wanted this show to explore the gimmick and to reveal all the interesting situations that can emerge from it. Season 2, they did almost everything. I had a wish list of 3 scenes that were not in Season 1. Did I say Season 2? Season 1. Season 1, they explored almost the whole gimmick. I had a wish list of 3 things that did not make it into Season 1. I wanted to see a camcorder dialogue between an innie and an outie, which we did get in Season 2. I wanted to see multiple innies in one person. I thought that would be an interesting concept, which we also did get in Season 2. And I wanted to see an innie assassin who could be activated using the overtime contingency, like in a Manchurian Candidate kind of way, which is something that we certainly will get in Season 3, because they just don't have any ideas for this show anymore. But yeah, anyway, the thing of everyone being the story being too big, everyone is like too important in like an annoying kind of way. Everyone at the table has, all 4 of the original team members have some sort of like really important status or super mysterious past that's connected deep into important things, you know. Like Mark is the wife of Gemma, who is for some reason has been chosen for this 25 personalities, or actually 26 personalities, 25 innies, right? So 26 personalities. For some reason, she's been chosen. We don't know why yet. That's another J.J. Abrams mystery box for you. And for some reason, Mark had to be there to complete the program, even though they were all 4 of them were working on that, right? The department was there to assemble. I don't even know what this means, but the given explanation is the 4 of them were there to assemble Gemma's personalities. And they were all contributing, right? But for some reason, Mark had to be the one to finish it. We don't get any explanation for that, as far as I know. Hey, Editor Jim here. I just realized that, is it that the 4 team members represent the 4 temperaments? Is that the idea? It might be that. It might be that each of the 4 teammates represents... Well, no. I was thinking that the 4 doors at the bottom of the screen were the 4 temperaments. But no, the door opens up, and it reveals the 4 temperaments come up out of the door, and they show the 4 little progress bars. So each team member can't be the 4 temperaments because they're all 4 dealing with all 4 temperaments. I don't know. Anyway, back to the original recording. I hate that, like, what? Irving has some kind of important bullshit going on. Again, being a painter who knows about the black hallway, but is completely unmolested by Lumen. Any Irving doesn't know about that, so where did Outie Irving get these memories? And Lumen doesn't pester him at all, but he's off pestering Chris Walken, who is very important and mysterious. He's been working for Lumen like 10 years longer than the program has been happening, so something's going on there. We don't know, but we know it's important. And I really hated that Helly ended up being Helena. I didn't write her last name down. Is it Egan? Helena Egan? The crown princess of the company. Super lame. I honestly, probably my favorite moment in all season 1, my favorite moment in the moment of watching it, was probably when Helly hung herself and rode the elevator up. And that realization that she was hanging herself, but making her outie suffer the pain of hanging. If they had just killed her there and not made her the most important character in the show, that would have been so cool. But no, she lives, and then they just don't really know what to do with her besides, again, obviously at this point they knew she was going to be the crown princess, but it was such a good opportunity that I don't even know if they realized that they had. It's just so upsetting. And yeah, so that happened. And I miss back when Helena, or Helly's Audi, I should say, was just like a bitch who didn't want to work. That was a much better character. So and then of course after that potential is wasted, then they go into developing Helena. So I'm already kind of bitter at the character for wasting its potential, and then it ends up being this super important, that's the fucking Jar Jar is the key to everything character. It just really upset me. I didn't like the mysterious coyness of the goats or the black hallway in general in season 1. They really felt like J.J. Abrams mystery boxes, and so they did in fact end up being. I really hated the dead wife is actually alive trope. I always hate that shit, and it was especially egregious this time around. There were so many like small things that were very surreal and very confusing that will be explained away in like a fucking Lost season 4 style hand wave when the time comes. Like in the opening scenes of season 2, when Mark runs down the hallways, and at the very end we see a guy in the background who kind of looks like Mark going around a corner, and our Mark turns around and misses him, and that is never addressed again. Except there's a little bit of a parallel between that and how all the team members are given twins, like these like silent grinning twins off in the distance that for some reason they don't walk up to. They're just like, so Mark is standing there and he sees another Mark pointing mysteriously off in some direction, and none of them are tempted to like walk up and talk to their twin counterparts. So I don't know what the fuck that is. Like, is it like they're using the image of these people who signed up to be employees, right? Like, how can this even possibly make sense? I don't know. I'm upset about a lot of things in this show. The whole retreat was really stupid. When Irving woke up on the ice, I knew it was a dream because it was too stupid to be real. But it was real. And once he started to make his way over to the cliffs, and the whole team was like reunited, and then they got the message from Hillchick, and I just kind of started to slowly, I just put my head in my hands, man. I was very depressed as I was coming to terms with the fact that no, we really did just like wake up on an ice lake just because it would be visually interesting for the simpleton viewers, and not because it makes any rational sense, Like, why would they put all the innies out on the... And they woke up one at a time. Like, Mark tells Irving that Mark started on the ice too, so how are they even making it out onto the lake? Why did they not just drive them all out like on a minivan, Like a retreat. It's just little things like that where they make these huge sacrifices for your suspension of disbelief just for like a cheap visual that will make like simpletons be like, oh, it makes my fucking skin crawl. There were lots of like little writing things that really irritated me too. One thing that I took notes on was in episode 206, when Mark is at some kind of a restaurant and Helena approaches him. And she says, I'm sorry for the systematic error, which is like not how a person ought to talk. And then he's like, oh, you mean the overtime thing? And then she clarifies, oh, yes, the OTC. Like, just, what is her motivation for saying, yes, the OTC? It's like a different opaque term for the thing that he's trying to, just little things like that definitely gave me this impression of like a rushed, made to be serialized and to string you along in a soap opera kind of way TV show. I never understood why, and they tell you that Chris Walken became, obviously it's a lie, but Chris Walken tells you that he became a Lumen employee so that he would gain an innie who could go to heaven and be with his husband, which it is so insultingly stupid And Irving is so insultingly stupid for having believed it. I'm just like insulted by all parties in this conversation. And I kind of just hate all three of them for being so stupid collectively. Man. I have a separate note about how bad the retreat was. I think I just went off on that tangent on my own before getting to my notes, actually. It's not clear to me about what Gemma's... Oh, no. Actually, no. I checked the wiki and I found out that Gemma was a Russian literature professor. So that's probably why she had the Vostok Komandirsky mechanical watch, and why she also commented on the crib in Russian. The reintegration in season 2 was there only so that we would be glued to the screen, hoping to see something reintegration related. And there was zero. There was zilch. Audi Mark learns a few things about Innie Mark's life. Like he sees, I can't even remember what. He catches little glimpses of things that have zero bearing on the story. And actually, I read a couple of X posts, and I mentioned that I was reading Jonathan Blow's post on it. One thing that he commented on that stuck out to me was that they have this whole camcorder conversation later in season 2, which only could have happened if they weren't reintegrated. So they decided that they need the reintegration to keep the audience intrigue going, but they can't let it take yet because they need to have the camcorder conversation, which is something that needed to happen. That's a really cool thing that needs to happen with this concept. I wish we'd gotten the camcorder conversation in season 1, so that way it could be in the good season, but unfortunately it was in season 2. So that is a thing that happened. I really hated Asal, the freedom fighter character, as a character. She was just very annoying, and her only function was to create mystery by calling Petey's phone over and over again, and then to do the reintegration that does nothing, and then to just be like a terse bitch the whole season. And I hated her. I hated Asal so much. But the one thing that she did bring me joy one time, and that is when I looked up Asal's actress so I could comment on her for this review, I saw that the actress's name is Karen, and that gave me a laugh. So thank you, Asal. You did have one silver lining. The drama between the innies and outies was also annoyingly balanced for our sake, and not in a way that made sense in the world. It didn't feel realistic at all. It felt like what the director and the writers expected our emotions to be influenced the behavior of the outies in ways that didn't make sense. Like Audi Irving has a lot of drama with like the painting and with Chris Walken, and he gets entangled with Chris Walken in kind of an unlikely way just because we want to see them spend time together. And so we're like, us as the audience are seeing Audi Irving wrestling with his feelings of wanting to be with Chris Walken, and we're expected to feel like this is some kind of a fulfillment or some kind of a relevant event in Irving's life. But we don't know this asshole. The painter, we don't fucking know anything about him. He's just some other asshole who also wants to fuck Chris Walken. And it's meaningless. Our Irving, the Irving that matters, completely disappears from existence in the retreat episode. Was it episode 3? So we went 6 consecutive episodes without seeing Irving at all. He's just gone. And we get nothing. No comment, no hint. We just show Audi Irving wanting to fuck Chris Walken, and we're expected to take that in as sustenance for our wanting to see Irving's story. But he's gone. He's completely like fucking gazooed out of existence on the retreat episode and never commented on or heard from again for the rest of the season. And I know they'll address it in season 3, and I don't care. It's just so horrible. Such a fucking patronizing, horrible waste of my time. I was especially insulted near the end of the season when they were in the cabin and they're discussing their plans to get into the Black Hall. And Miss Dubček, whatever the fuck her name is telling Innie Mark that once he goes down the black hall, he will become Audi Mark because his chip is only attuned to work on the Severance floor. And she tells him this in the fucking cabin, which is not the Severance floor. So their access protocols are so laxed, they just put like a fucking anyone can read and write, fuck it, everyone's free to just be an innie in the cabin, because we're just like, if they could have at least explained it away with a comment, or maybe like, oh, security's lighter in the cabin, so I was able to hack it so Mark can be an innie here. Anything, just a fucking throwaway line. Let me know that you understand your own premise, because you're literally fucking standing here as an innie in a place that isn't the Severance floor, saying you can only be an innie on the Severance floor. And it was just it was upsetting. What else? Late in season 2, the two Marks argue. An Audi Mark kind of becomes this like fucking like sneering prick who just wants to get his wife and doesn't really care about any Mark. Which is like so like, I'm not saying that he didn't have that potential, but we were giving no signposting that he might actually be like a selfish asshole who doesn't really, who sees... Mark is contrasted, and he shows concern for his innie the whole season, and is contrasted with Helly, whose Audi tells her you're not a person. And then at the end of the season, just because it's convenient for us, now Mark doesn't think that his innie is a person either. He's just like, I'll take you back in and we'll fuck Gemma and it'll be fine. And I mean, who cares about the redhead? And it's just it's so insulting. But then after that goes on for a while, just as I was starting to really get mad about that, the writers are looking at their watch like, okay, well, their argument is done. We need to go on to the finale. So they just go and they don't really arrive at any kind of consensus. Just like fucking Audi Mark willingly goes to Lumen, willingly goes down the elevator. Innie Mark willingly helps rescue Gemma. Audi Mark walks her out, and then Innie Mark stabs him in the back and hijacks the body. And it's like they not only does the show not give us any indication of its intentions, it gives us no indication that the Marks even know their intentions. It just like they just things happen on schedule. Like it's the last episode. It's like we don't have time for the Marks to resolve the philosophy of it. We'll just have a little argument, and now the argument session the argument session for the day has concluded. It really felt like fucking like a scheduled activity by Hilchek himself in the most cynical, shitty pig slop kind of way. And even in the end, we're not even given a hint. Again, they will write things to justify as much as they can. They can't get it all. But like, what is any Mark's motivation? He just like, he has fulfilled his purpose. He reassembled the personalities for Gemma. He completed Cold Harbor. How does he know that Lumen has any motivation to keep him alive, right? He just like goes back to Helly and they just walk down the fucking hallway. Like, what could they possibly have next that isn't some like fucking ass pull black box that was never explained or hinted at to us? It's just like they're fucking just... I know they're going to pull something right out of their ass and they're going to be fine, but it's like their actions don't make any sense based on any information, as far as I can tell, that we've been provided. And I'm sure that one or two things that I've complained about may even have some alternate explanation, because by the end of the show, I was fuming and watching it like 2 and 3 times speed just to get through it with subtitles on. So I was absorbing most of the dialogue. I was probably missing maybe 1 in 20 subtitles, but holy Christ. And I know that anybody who gives a shit probably hasn't listened this far, so it's like, anyone who wants to give me a shit about that, you just have no idea what you're talking about if you think this show is airtight. Because, yeah, it's a problem. And, is that it? My last note was, Innie Mark has nothing to go on. Innie Mark is taking a trust fall off a cliff with the assurance that the season 3 writers will catch him, which I think is a pretty apt summary of this show. It's very upsetting. I don't know if you're still here. I don't know if you just like to hear me complain, or maybe you saw Severance and this is cathartic for you. I don't know. But I don't know if I'll watch season 3 or not. Season 1 was cool, and I can't think of anything else. I don't think that I mentioned that when I finished season 1. I mentioned my 3 scenes of my wish list. I don't remember if I elaborated that season 1 gave me the strong feeling that the premise had been exhausted. Like, okay, good. Season 1, the overtime thing was super cool, but I think that we're done with the gimmick. I think the gimmick has been wrung dry. There are very few things left on my wish list of things to see. So unless they're like in fucking 5-dimension mode and they see cool shit that I haven't even gotten a whiff of, I think season 2 is going to be all soap opera stuff. And season 2 was all soap opera stuff. And I don't know if this is Ben Stiller or not, but a lot of the surreal, annoying shit in season 2, like fucking Brienne of Tarth and her fucking goats, and God, I don't even want to talk about how stupid it was. How stupid and obvious the gun with one bullet thing was. I just don't want to think about that. But how like surreal and strange with all the goat people who like to stare and shout at you and all that. It really gave me this like really annoying like surrealness for surrealness sake. It kind of reminded me of the Simple Jack scenes from Tropic Thunder in a strange way. And of course, I'm sure that thinking about Ben Stiller bridged me over to that. But that was the thing I was thinking about. Is this just Ben Stiller? Does he has this really interesting way of mixing really good and intriguing shit with like the most annoying, insufferable shit imaginable. But yeah, I think I'm done. I probably would have hurried to hit the stop button sooner, but I've gone for half an hour now, so it's kind of like I'm sort of just letting it. I'm letting it marinate for a minute. Is there anything I'm missing in Severance? It was very well cast. I wish that I had mentioned that in the non-spoiler section. I liked all the cast. I don't remember the guy's name who played Mark. His name was like, I feel like he had 2 first names or something, like Chris Andy or something. I don't know. It's not it, but do I have the tab open? I am at my desk, right? Yeah, oh, Adam Scott. There you go. That's his name. Yeah, Adam Scott, Britt Lauer, Zach Cherry, who played Mark, Helly, and Dylan, respectively. Tramel Tillman, who played Milchick. John Turturro, who played Irving Bailiff. They were all great. And Chris Walken's great and everything. Oh, I didn't comment on Rickon's book. That was one of my favorite things about the whole show. In season 1, maybe my favorite thing in all of season 1 was how Rickon was like this like hacky philosophy author guy. And his book was like, they give you little glimpses of it, and it just kind of makes you want to roll your eyes. And you hear passages from Rickon's book, and you're like, okay, guy, I mean, you seem nice, but I don't want to read your fucking book, man. But then the book makes it down there to the innies, and it makes complete sense why these like simplistic, childish allegories and adages would inspire the innies. And man, I loved that. Oh, I love that so much. The innies being inspired. You know what? That is actually a great note to end on. That the best part of the whole franchise, I completely forgot to mention until the end. I really liked that dimension of Rickon being an inspiration to the innies. But yeah. Anyway, if I have any other comments, then maybe I'll mention them when I don't review Severance season 3. Because I'm not going to watch it. Let's be real. I barely watched the last half of season 2. I was fast forwarding through it. It was really tough. And season 3 is going to be so much worse. Watching Severance is also why I am late this week for the Cinema Speculation Book Club. I was supposed to have already uploaded my video talking about the film Deliverance and Tarantino's chapter on Dirty Harry. I will do that maybe tomorrow. I don't think anyone is following along in real time anymore. My friend Tony was for the first couple weeks, but he's been busy. Incidentally, it is Tuesday, April 22nd, 2025. 4:33 a.m. I kind of just thought that getting my thoughts... I do feel a lot better, actually. Just airing out all my thoughts about Severance. And then I'm just going to slap this... I don't have the timer in front of me. How long is this recording now? 35 minutes. How about that? So, yeah, I doubt that anyone will listen to this, but I certainly do feel better, and I think that I will sleep better for having recorded this, which is good because I have a lot of studying to do tomorrow. Anyway, my name is Jim, and I'll talk to you soon.